In my previous life, during the college entrance exam, my uncle offered to drive me to the test center. However, he deliberately drove onto the highway, causing me to miss the exam. When my mother found out about this, she was so anxious that she had a heart attack. He passed away on the way to the hospital. I didn't get to see her one last time. Our once whole family fell apart because of my uncle, my father. Exhausted from overwork, lost focus while driving and crashed into the lake. I couldn't bear the blow, so I took a knife to confront my uncle, but he ended up killing me at home instead. When I woke up again, I had returned to the day of the college entrance exam. I struggled awake from the pain. I touched my face. It was wet. Uncle looked at me in the rearview mirror, his tone tinged with a hint of sarcasm. Yuching, why are you crying over the college entrance exam? I snapped back to reality and looked around. I'm already in Uncle's car, in my previous life. 2 hours before the college entrance exam, my uncle Linwei suddenly came to our home. He offered to take me to the exam. He said it was on his way and that he could drop me off now. My dad thought it was strange because my cousin was also taking the college entrance exam today. He asked why he wasn't seeing my cousin off but instead came to see me off. Linwei laughed it off, saying my cousin had already stayed at his classmate's house the day before. My dad didn't think much of it and let me get into my uncle's car. Uncle told me to take a nap. We'll be there in half an hour. I thought about it and decided to take a short nap to conserve my energy. I didn't expect to wake up already on the highway. I shouted and asked Linwei what was going on. He feigned surprise, saying he had forgotten I was still in the car. He was about to drive off for a business trip. At that time, there was only 1 hour left until the college entrance exam. Linwei pretended to tell me not to worry, saying he would exit at the next ramp immediately, yet he didn't exit the highway for a long time. By the time he leisurely drove to the next exit, the exam had already started. I completely missed the last college entrance exam. Gathering my thoughts, I clenched my fists tightly, lowering my head to conceal the overwhelming hatred in my heart. Looking up toward the window, I saw that we were already on the highway. Only 1 hour left until the college entrance exam. Uncle, how did you get on the highway? Just like in the previous life, Linwei exaggeratedly opened his mouth wide, revealing a set of yellow teeth. He exclaimed in surprise, I'm sorry, Yuching, I forgot you were in the car. I'll get off at the next exit right away. Don't worry, even if I have to lose all my points, I'll make sure to get you to the exam hall later. I sneered coldly. In my past life, I had foolishly believed his lies and waited for him to turn back from the highway. I looked panicked, clutching my head and screaming in a shrill voice, it's over, I'm going to miss the exam. Then, hunched over, he began to retch in the car. Ugh, I feel so nauseous, Uncle, you know how I get. Whenever I'm nervous, I start to feel sick. Ugh. Linwei immediately furrowed his brow, his tone impatient. Lin Yuching, don't throw up in my car, don't worry. I'll definitely get you back soon. I frantically tugged at my hair, pretending to be going crazy. No, I'm definitely going to be late. I feel so sick. Then I suddenly clutched my stomach, my face contorted. Uncle, I'm done for. When I get nervous, I not only feel like throwing up, but I also need to use the bathroom. As if in response to me, my bottom let out a long, melodious fart. Linwei pinched his nose, his face as dark as charcoal. I immediately squatted down. Uncle, give me a bag. I can't hold it in anymore. I'm about to poop. Ugh. While he wasn't paying attention, I stuck my fingers down my throat and forced myself to vomit. With a loud retch, a puddle of white and yellow vomit appeared on the back seat. You can vaguely make out the steamed buns, soy milk, and fried dough sticks I had for breakfast this morning. Linwei couldn't hold back and also retched. Lin Yuching, stop throwing up. This is my brand new car. I thought mockingly to myself. That's exactly why I'm throwing up, because it's new. Last month, my uncle took out a loan to buy a new car just to show off. Let's see if I don't make you regret it. Then I moved behind his seat and grabbed a plastic bag. Uncle, I'm sorry, but I really can't hold it in anymore. I have to go. Put on your mask first. Just bear with it for a bit. Whenever I get nervous, I can't help but feel like throwing up and having diarrhea. Linwei suddenly slammed his hand on the steering wheel. Stop. Lin Yuching, I really can't believe you. We're almost at the service area. Just hold on a little longer. I whimpered and retched again. How much longer, Uncle? I really can't hold it anymore. I'm about to let it out. Almost there. 5 minutes. As soon as he finished speaking, the car shot forward like the wind. Soon we arrived at the service area, and Linwei got out of the car with a bang to get some fresh air. Looking at the vomit in the back seat, he cursed it as bad luck. on the other hand, covered my stomach and rushed into the service area. I took out my phone and called the traffic police. I reported my current address, explaining that I was running late for the college entrance exam. I hoped they could take me to the exam venue. I went to the restroom to wash my face, bought breakfast, and sat down. I ate while waiting for the traffic police to arrive. I have an exam, so I need to ensure I'm full of energy. I just threw up all my breakfast. So not eating is absolutely not an option. 20 minutes later, the traffic police arrived. The moment I saw them, I almost burst into tears. When I came out, I didn't see Linway. Probably went to the restroom. I didn't tell him and directly got into the traffic police car, let him wait slowly. In the car, I called my dad and told him about this, have him keep the fast-acting heart pills near my mom. Tell my mom that I have arrived at the exam venue smoothly. Don't listen to what Uncle says. In my previous life, because I missed the college entrance exam, I couldn't help but break down and cry in Linway's car. Linway pretended to be apologetic, saying he would personally call my father to apologize. He claimed to be calling my father, but deliberately dialed my mother's phone instead. He exaggerated the fact that I had missed the college entrance exam. I've been ruined by him for my entire life. Or something like that. It made my mother so anxious that she had a heart attack. I snapped back to reality and loudly questioned him about why he called my mother. Linway stammered and said he dialed the wrong number. I thought it was to tell my dad. Then he deliberately slapped himself, saying it was all his fault. My mom was taken to the hospital after getting off the highway. I don't know what madness Linway was up to. I drove around the city for another lap before finally getting back on the highway. He said he was too nervous, his mind was in a daze, and he was really afraid that because of his situation, something might happen to my mom. I was so anxious I was about to go crazy, urging him to drive back to the hospital immediately. By the time we reached the hospital, what was wheeled out of the operating room was a body covered with a white sheet. I never got to see my mother one last time. I tightly closed my eyes, suppressing the hatred in my heart. In this life, I will definitely make Linway pay the price. I had no idea that my father was his own younger brother. I never imagined he could harbor such deep hatred toward my family. He seems determined to see my family utterly destroyed. The traffic police officers were incredibly efficient. I successfully arrived at the examination hall 5 minutes after the exam started. I bowed deeply to them. I sent my dad a message to let him know I was safe. I rushed into the examination hall. The moment I sat down in my seat, my heart inexplicably calmed down. Perhaps it was because I carried the resentment from my past life. I solved the problems much faster. Everything is under control. After finishing the exam, I walked out of the school gate. I saw my anxious mother and father. I rushed over and hugged them tightly. Mom, Dad, don't worry. I'll definitely be fine this time. On the way home, my dad scolded Linway the entire trip. He was still cursing when we got home. My dad and mom have been navigating society for decades. How could I not know that Linway did it on purpose? My mother stroked my head, tears glistening in the corners of her eyes. Yuching, it's a good thing you're clever, or you really would have missed the exam. I looked up and asked my mother if Linway had called her. My mother patted her chest, still shaken, and nodded. She said that right after my father told her I had safely arrived at the exam hall, Linway called her. Before she could even speak, she heard Linway crying and wailing on the other end of the line, saying I had gone missing. He drove onto the highway, making me miss the college entrance exam, and now he's even lost me. My dad couldn't be bothered to listen to his nonsense. He snatched the phone from my mom and gave him a good scolding. I held my mother's hand, looking left and right. Only after confirming there was nothing unusual did I finally breathe a sigh of relief. In this life, I will never let my mother leave me first again. My mother has a heart condition, but it is well under control. The doctor said there's no problem as long as there's no major stimulation. Linway also knew about this. He did it on purpose. This damn beast. I opened my phone, and sure enough, there were countless missed calls. All from Linway, and many text messages, undoubtedly asking where I went. Saying I was inconsiderate, running off without telling him. Looking at the time, what a coincidence. It was during the college entrance exam period. Is he holding on to a glimmer of hope, thinking that I didn't turn off my phone, and if it rings, he'll accuse me of cheating. 1 to 3 years without being able to take the college entrance exam, truly malicious to the extreme, after what happened this morning. My dad also took 2 days off. He stayed at home to watch over us. In the afternoon, my dad personally drove me to the exam center. After the exam, both he and my mom personally waited for me at the exam center. After returning home, I saw my uncle and aunt standing at my doorstep with large and small bags in hand. My mother gave them a disdainful look and walked straight into the house. They hurriedly stepped forward to apologize. Oh dear, Yuching, we're really sorry about this morning. It's all my fault for being old and foolish. I shouldn't have taken you onto the highway. Then he turned to look at my dad. Junior, it's my fault. I've come to apologize to you all. My dad, with a grim expression, wanted to go back inside. I quietly gave my dad a look, and only then did he nod toward them. Come in. Seeing my dad soften his tone, their smiles deepened into creases. They squeezed their way into the house. He pulled me aside and started apologizing, saying all sorts of unnecessary things. I sneered. Wasn't it obvious that he just didn't want me to go study? But with just this little bit of time, what could it possibly delay for me? Linwei clenched his fist and coughed a few times, looking at my father as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. Junior, yesterday Yuqing threw up in my car, and it cost 600 yuan to get it cleaned. My mother sneered coldly. Big brother, you're not going to ask us for that 600 yuan, are you? Linwei picked up an orange and said indifferently, I was just trying to be kind by sending Yuqing to the exam hall. But she got nervous and threw up all over my car. Seeing that my mom was about to lose her temper, I winked at her to reassure her. I held on to Auntie's hand, interrupting Linwei's words, and spoke with feigned concern. Auntie, even though I threw up in your car, I feel like I performed better on the exam than usual. What about my cousin? How is he? I heard he doesn't even want to take the college entrance exam. Has he broken up with that girl yet? As soon as the words were spoken, the smiles on their faces instantly faded, their expressions turned as dark as coal. My aunt gave an awkward laugh. Ah, your cousin is still obedient. He went to take the college entrance exam today and performed quite well. I let out a meaningful oh. My father coughed and deliberately scolded me. Yuqing, you really know how to hit a sore spot. I've watched your cousin grow up since he was little. How could he possibly hang out with those shady characters from outside the school? He's the most obedient one. You must have heard some rumors at school again. I quickly pretended to slap my own mouth a few times. Sorry, uncle and aunt. I was just talking nonsense. Don't take it to heart. I just heard from classmates that he goes on dates with his vocational school girlfriend every night. But I guess it's just a rumor. After all, tomorrow is the last exam. He wouldn't be so irresponsible as to go out on a date. He must be studying at home. At this, the two of them couldn't sit still anymore. Let's not even mention the 600 yuan car wash fee. He was squirming around as if he had thorns in his backside. Within a few minutes, he found an excuse and ran off. I hurried inside to disguise myself, pulling out the non-mainstream clothes from my middle school days and putting them on. Then I applied exaggerated lipstick and put on a mask. I told my parents and went out. I'm going to do something big. My cousin goes to the same school as me, but he's not in my class. He is also a top student, and because of his good looks, many girls like him. He has always disliked me. He thinks that as a girl, I am not worthy of being taken seriously. He also thinks my parents are crazy for doting on me, their daughter, so much. In the same school, he always pretends not to see me. When he's in a good mood, he mocks me a few times, telling me to stop studying and hurry up and get married. Utterly ridiculous. He acts superior and prides himself on being noble, yet he's drawn to the troublemaker girl from the vocational high school next door. In his senior year of high school, he often skipped classes to hang out with that girl. He smoked, drank, and got into fights, all just to get closer to her. By the second semester of senior year, his grades plummeted. The homeroom teacher was extremely worried, but despite reaching out to his uncle several times, nothing changed. He also stated that he would marry no one but that girl. My uncle was extremely anxious, but in front of my parents, he had to act as if my cousin was very obedient. Little did he know, the news had already spread throughout our school. Lin Yan, the top student, fell in love with a delinquent girl. Lin Yan had always been confident, believing that even if he played for a year before studying, he would still be a promising candidate for Tsinghua or Peking University. Unfortunately, reality always felt like a big hand, slapping Lin Yan hard across the face. 2 months before the exam, he began to focus on his studies. Although his ranking improved, it was still far from what he had achieved before. The mock exams were even more disastrous, because he devoted himself to studying. The girls at the vocational high school were unhappy. With less time spent with her, they began to argue fiercely. We used to listen to gossip, but as the college entrance exam approached, hardly anyone wanted to listen anymore. The only certainty was that Lin Yan loved her to death. No matter how much she argued, he refused to break up. Every night, he still went out to be with her. I lowered my head and curled my lips in a mocking smile. Then I'll have to see if tonight's date is still at the usual spot. I put on my hoodie and sunglasses. Crouching by the utility pole, I chewed on a piece of gum. Looking just like a delinquent girl, I clicked my tongue in admiration. Lin Yan is truly devoted. At the critical moment, he even hugged his girlfriend and comforted her softly. I checked the time, estimating that my uncle and the others should be home by now. Sure enough, Lin Yan's phone rang. Lin Yan impatiently picked it up, glanced at it, and hung up, but he couldn't resist the other person's frantic calls. He answered the phone, lowering his voice. "What's the matter? I'm studying at the bookstore outside. I'll be back soon." It's unclear what was said on the other end. Lin Yan's frown deepened. "Got it. I'm coming back now." His girlfriend glanced at him, her voice soft and tearful. "Brother Yin, you didn't stay with me last night, and you're not going to stay with me tonight either. You don't love me anymore, do you?" As she spoke, she began to cry, tears falling like pear blossoms in the rain. "I knew it all along. You high and mighty top students could never really be interested in a delinquent like me. You were just playing with me, right? But I took it seriously. I truly loved you. I gave myself to you, and this is how you treat me. If that's the case, let's break up. I'll always remember that I loved you." Lin Yan was at a loss. Wiping her tears and gently comforting her, I clicked my tongue twice, thinking, Lin, the top student, really knows how to play around. "Baby, I'm just going back for a little while. I'll sneak out to see you in half an hour, okay? How could I not love you? I won't marry anyone but you. Lin Yan, swear that in this life, there will only be you, Zhao Yu, as my woman." After a French kiss, Lin Yan reluctantly left. As soon as Lin Yan was gone, Zhao Yu wiped away her tears and pulled out a cigarette from her pocket. There was no trace of the reluctance she had shown just moments before. Squinting slightly, she took out her phone and called her friend. 2 more delinquent girls soon arrived. "Xiaoyu, did Lin Yan ditch you and run off again? Huh? The college entrance exam is really more important than you. Aren't you planning to break up yet? Still want to keep playing?" Xiaoyu was taken aback for a moment, then spat on the ground. "What can we do? He's such a model student. And I think I might really have fallen for him." Just then, I walked over with an unlit cigarette dangling from my mouth. "Sis, I just saw you and your boyfriend. He doesn't really love you like that." Zhao Yu's 2 girlfriends looked displeased. "Who are you to judge us like that?" I waved my hand and took out cigarettes to share with them. "I mean, well, so what if he's a top student? What's there to be so arrogant about? My boyfriend, the top student from the south side of the city, is skipping tomorrow's exam for me." As soon as the words were spoken, everyone looked surprised, especially Zhao Yu, eyes glowing. I patted her shoulder. "Sis, not to be harsh, but your boyfriend really doesn't love you that much. I just told my boyfriend, I said if you really love me, don't take the exam this year." He agreed without a moment's hesitation. What does it matter for a top student to take the exam a year later? Her 2 friends let out a sudden oh of realization and began to echo my sentiments. "That's right, Xiaoya, you're both top students. What difference does it make which year you take the exam? It's not like you have to take it this year." "I think Lin Yan lacks sincerity toward you. He left as soon as his parents called." "Xiaoyu, why don't you ask Lin Yan if he's willing to take the exam next year? If not, it might be better to break up." I nodded in agreement. "Girl, with your looks, you must have plenty of suitors. You have a great figure and you're beautiful. There's no need to waste your time on a bookworm who doesn't love you." Zhao Yu seemed lost in thought. Seeing that my goal was achieved, I found an excuse and left. There's going to be a good show next. After walking 2 blocks, I threw away that pack of cigarettes, wiped my mouth, and arrived at Lin Yan's apartment building, hiding under the shade of the tree. Although I couldn't hear clearly, I could roughly make out that they were having a heated argument. I leaned against the tree and let out a deep, foul breath, satisfying. I waited downstairs for 20 minutes. I saw Lin Yan running down the stairs, panting heavily. He was on the phone. "Yeah, where are you? I'm coming right now. Please don't do anything rash. Yeah, please, don't break up with me. I really can't live without you. Be good and wait for me right here, okay?" My aunt stuck her head out from upstairs and shouted, "Lin Yan, you unfilial son, the last 2 exams are tomorrow. Don't you really want to get into a good university? Come back and study. Don't go looking for that vixen. Mom promises you, after the exams, you can be together however you want." But how could Lin Yan hear it? He had long since disappeared without a trace. I brushed the dust off my clothes. I returned home happily. As soon as I got home, my mom came up to gossip. I gave them a mysterious smile. "You'll find out tomorrow. I can tell from Lin Yan's condition that he definitely won't be taking the college entrance exam tomorrow. If he doesn't want to break up." I returned to my room, shook off my thoughts, and started reviewing seriously. After studying for a while, I went to bed early. I don't know if it was because I vented my anger. I slept exceptionally soundly, successfully finished the last 2 subjects. My problem-solving flow was smooth. It's a sure thing. My parents took me out for a big dinner to celebrate in the evening. During the meal, I noticed my phone buzzing nonstop with messages from the class group chat. Everyone was gossiping about Lin Yan's absence from the exam today. I couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, Lin Yan didn't let me down. Some classmates said they saw Lin Yan and Zhao Yu taking a walk by the river after the exam. Others took photos and posted them in the group chat. They were squatting by the roadside, eating ice jelly together. I clicked my tongue in admiration. Lin Yan is truly a romantic at heart. However, I'm even more curious about how my uncle and aunt will react when they find out I saw this good news. I angrily ate 2 bowls of rice. Just 2 words, comfortable. I chuckled and showed my phone to my parents. My parents exchanged a glance, looking at me with some disapproval. Yuqing, even though your uncle wanted to harm you, your behavior isn't right. Yes, we just won't have anything to do with him. You shouldn't take the initiative to do these bad things. Thinking about the things Lin Wei did in my past life, I grit my teeth in hatred. My parents don't know about Lin Wei's malicious intentions, so naturally, they don't approve of my actions. Biting my chopsticks. I think about how to tell my parents. Forget it, I'm going all in and telling them directly about the reincarnation. If they don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. After hearing what I said, they looked at each other. My mom even shed tears. I held her hand. Mom, I haven't told a single lie. Otherwise, how would I know Lin Wei would call you? And I even asked Dad to stay by your side, with fast-acting heart pills ready for you. I woke up reborn in the car. If I hadn't lived through my previous life, how would I know Lin Wei wanted to harm me? I couldn't come up with a way to deal with it right away either. After all, he's my uncle, even though he often mocks me from time to time, but I never thought he would harm me, which is why I was careless in my previous life. My father thought for a moment, then put his chopsticks down on the table. He said that whether it was a dream or reality, he had decided to stay away from my uncle's family and will always be on guard against them. My mother, in tears, said she believed me, because for the past 2 days, she had been having nightmares where our entire family was constantly being hunted down. The murderer was my uncle. She was just afraid of scaring us. Never said it before. I breathed a sigh of relief. At least my parents were on my side, and they had started to be wary of my uncle. In my past life, my father always believed that my uncle was his older brother, his kin. Even if I didn't like my uncle's attitude, I never set up any defenses against them. This is a good start. The next day, we got up early to pack our things. My dad said it was to celebrate my liberation after the exams. The whole family went on a road trip. While packing up, my grandma called my dad's phone. As soon as the call connected, I heard my grandma's cries. My son, go check on your older brother and sister-in-law. They were so angry they ended up in the hospital. My eldest grandson. He actually didn't go to the college entrance exam. He even hid it from his parents. If it weren't for his homeroom teacher calling today, who knows how long he would have kept it hidden. What an unfilial grandson. Truly unfilial. I couldn't hold back any longer and covered my mouth, laughing out loud. My dad hung up the phone and tapped my head. You, stop laughing. Let's go buy some fruit and visit my dear nephew. My mom snorted coldly from the side. Serves them right. Last life they ruined our family. This life it's their turn. The travel plans are on hold for now. Let's go watch the show first. We bought a fruit basket and went to the hospital. Auntie was in the hospital room, clutching her chest and wailing. Lin Wei sat nearby, resting his head in his hands without saying a word. My dad stepped forward with a fruit basket. Brother, where's Xiaoyan? He didn't even come when his mother was sick. Lin Wei waved his hand. I called him. He'll be here in a moment. He looked at the fruit basket with shining eyes, pretending to ask his aunt what fruit she wanted to eat. In reality, he started rummaging through it for the red envelopes. In the past, whenever my dad brought a fruit basket as a gift, he would always hide a few red envelopes inside. I sneered as I watched his expression shift from delight to disappointment. But I was too embarrassed to ask directly why we didn't receive a red envelope this time. My father was indignant beside me. This Lin Yan. The older he gets, the more disobedient he becomes. He didn't even go to the college entrance exam. What's wrong with this child? Now he doesn't even come to see his mother when she's in the hospital. Saying this, he sat down next to Lin Wei and gave his shoulder a firm pat. Big brother, as your younger brother, I advise you and sister-in-law to start making preparations early. This kid can't be relied on. When you get old, you'll need someone to take care of you, unlike our Yuqing, who is so sensible. This time, getting into Tsinghua or Peking University is definitely a sure thing. Lin Wei and Auntie's faces were like traffic lights. Lin Wei's mouth twitched for a long time before he finally took a deep drag of his cigarette, unable to say anything. Watching their frustrated expressions, I found it somewhat amusing. In the past, whenever Lin Wei came to our house, he would always belittle me and praise Lin Yan, saying that relying on sons for old age is the way to go. Daughters are useless, and once a daughter gets married, she's like water spilled on the ground, saying that Lin Yan getting into Tsinghua or Peking University is no big deal. While I have to study like crazy just to have a chance, might as well just get into any school and then get married. That would be a lot easier. Now these words have come back to haunt them right between the eyes. Needless to say, our family felt incredibly satisfied. My dad, never one to shy away from stirring the pot, kept fanning the flames from the sidelines. He even suggested they try for a second child. If the main account is ruined, there's still a backup account to rely on. My dad is really something else. Just then, two familiar figures appeared at the door. It was Lin Yan and his girlfriend. Zhao Yu glanced at me but didn't recognize who I was. It was nighttime again that day, and I had disguised myself. If she could have recognized me, it would have been quite a feat. Auntie saw her beloved son bringing a girlfriend home. She trembled with anger, unable to utter a single word. Lin Wei pointed at Lin Yan's nose and cursed. Lin Yan, what are you trying to do? Your mother is already in the hospital, and you're bringing this woman back to upset her. Lin Yan's expression remained indifferent as he pulled Zhao Yu into an embrace. This is your future daughter-in-law. Watch your words. Anyway, my mock exam results aren't good, so I might as well repeat a year and take the exam again. Yaya is right. Next year will be my main battlefield. Auntie pressed her hand firmly against her heaving chest, thoroughly enraged. Daughter-in-law, I never agreed to let her into this family. Xiaoyan, think about it yourself. If you hadn't been seduced by this woman, would your grades have dropped? Now you're even giving up the college entrance exam for him. Do you not want to acknowledge me as your mother anymore? Before Lin Yan could speak, Zhao Yu started crying in his arms. I'm sorry, Brother Yan, I shouldn't have come with you today and made your parents scold you again. It's all my fault. Everything is my fault. I'm a poor student. Nobody loves me. It's normal for uncles and aunts not to like me. I should just leave, Brother Yan, you two be happy. I thought to myself, what a strong scent of green tea. I also grabbed a handful of melon seeds and handed them to my mom, watching the drama unfold with great delight. Sure enough, Lin Yan got angry and grabbed Zhao Yu, not letting her leave. He glared angrily at his parents. What do you mean by this? Zhao Yu came to see you out of kindness, and you treat her like this. Also, my decision has nothing to do with Xiaoye. I came here today to say one thing. I will marry no one but her. If you don't accept her as your daughter-in-law, then you don't accept me as your son. Upon hearing this, Auntie covered her face and began to wail loudly. She accused Lin Yan of being in the wrong, but before she could cry for long, she suddenly fainted with a sharp cry. Lin Wei was so angry that his eyes turned red, and the flesh on his cheeks trembled. Lin Yan, are you trying to make your mother die of anger before you're satisfied? Lin Yan raised his head, his tone devoid of any remorse. It's her own fault for getting angry. What does it have to do with me? The nurse came by to help Auntie calm down and gave her some water. She finally started to feel better. Then, Lin Yan dropped another bombshell. Mom, Dad, I'll get into a good school next year. But you have to promise me you'll take good care of Zhao Yu. She's pregnant. Oh wow. Now not only were they stunned, our family of three, along with the nurse, were all shocked. After saying that, Lin Yan didn't look at us and left, pulling Zhao Yu along. Just as they passed by me, they shot me a fierce glare. Lin Yuqing, do you think just because you did well on the exam, you can surpass me? I watched their retreating figures with a face full of confusion. From time to time, Zhao Yu's dissatisfied coquettish complaints could still be heard. Brother Yan, you're not allowed to talk to other girls. I'll get jealous. Be good. That's just my useless cousin who always wants to compete with me. Ha, she looks so dumb. How could she ever compare to you, brother? Ugh, what a pain. I think Lin Wei's whole family has gone crazy. They all have a persecution complex. They always think my family is trying to compete with them. In reality, it's their own pride at play. They just can't stand seeing my family doing well. My dad made up some excuse and left. Our family embarked on the journey. During the trip, I occasionally checked Lin Yan's social media updates. After the falling out with his parents, he became completely open about it. He often shared their daily life. Judging by the background, it seems to be at Lin Wei's home. It seems they eventually compromised. They actually agreed to let Lin Yan bring the person back home. I turned off my phone and enjoyed the magnificent scenery of our motherland. On the day the results came out, we went home. I sat nervously at the computer desk, rubbing my palms together. At the moment the results were announced, I let out a heavy sigh of relief. 685, more than 10 points higher than the mock exam. My mother grabbed my hand and wiped away her tears vigorously. I didn't hesitate to apply to Peking University. The remaining time was meant for pure enjoyment. I couldn't wait to dig into some gossip about Lin Yan. At the class reunion next door, Lin Yan went. He even brought Zhao Yu along. Lin Yan didn't feel the slightest bit embarrassed about missing the college entrance exam. He believed he had made a sacrifice for love, and besides, he was quite confident. With his abilities, he can pick any university he wants next year. My good friend sent me a picture of their gathering. Lin Yan got into a fight with someone, because he had too much to drink. His good buddy said a few extra words, saying Lin Yan isn't worth it. That woman has ill intentions. Lin Yan threw a punch right at him. The two of them got into a scuffle. In the end, they both ended up at the police station. My dad is currently preparing my college celebration banquet with my mom. Since I did so well on the exam, they want to celebrate it properly. On the day of the college celebration banquet, Lin Wei's whole family came, and Lin Yan brought Zhao Yu as usual. The relatives all know about Lin Yan's situation. No one went up to speak first. Lin Wei's hair had turned a shade whiter, and he sat on the side, smoking non-stop. He looked at my father, hesitating to speak. Several times I tried to talk to my dad, but he always brushed me off with a laugh. But Lin Wei definitely had ulterior motives. At the banquet, my grandfather publicly announced that he would transfer his downtown property to me. It was worth 2 million. This was Grandpa's previous promise. Whoever performed better in the exams, me or Lin Yan, would get this house. This also explains why Lin Wei deliberately tried to make me miss the college entrance exam. At school, there wasn't much difference in academic performance between me and Lin Yan, but Lin Yan started dating a girlfriend, and his grades plummeted. Lin Wei was afraid he wouldn't get this house. How vicious, all for a house. It harmed my entire family. Grandpa's words had just fallen. Lin Wei immediately stood up and said loudly, "Dad, I disagree. Xiaoyan still has a chance to take the exam next year. Why not wait until then?" Lin Yan also stood up to support Lin Wei. "Yes, Grandpa, I will definitely achieve the results you are satisfied with next year." Then he looked gently at Zhao Yu, softly stroking her belly. "Yaya is pregnant. Grandpa, you can't just watch your grandson have no place to live, can you?" My grandfather snorted coldly. Ever since he found out about Lin Yan's mess, he hadn't given him a good look. "Waiting for you for a year, is that fair to you, Qing?" I said, "This year is this year. You didn't take the exam yourself, and you're blaming your obsession with women on who?" Grandpa took my hand. "Let's go, granddaughter. We'll go transfer the property this afternoon." My father sat there with a grim expression. "Don't try to have it all. Wanting to take advantage of every little thing." The relatives were also whispering among themselves below. Their gazes were filled with disdain as they looked at the family. Lin Wei and his family couldn't even finish their meal and left in disgrace. Lin Wei looked at our family with deep hatred in his eyes. I felt a chill run down my spine. I pulled my parents aside and warned them to be extra careful around Lin Wei. Life settled into a period of calm once again. I look at Lin Yan's social media feed, where Zhao Yu is already showing a baby bump. According to classmates, Zhao Yu is almost 5 months pregnant. Doing the math, it's almost August now, so Zhao Yu must have gotten pregnant around March. I'm quite curious to know what Lin Wei and his family's expressions are like right now. The day the acceptance letter arrived at home, Lin Wei came to the door again, carrying large and small bags of things. My dad didn't intend to let him into the house. He blocked him outside. Seeing this, Lin Wei pulled his hand and knelt on the ground with a thud. "Junior, we are blood brothers. We are a close family. Do you really have to be so heartless?" People came and went around, and some even took out their phones to watch the commotion. My father had no choice but to let them into the house. Lin Wei cried to my father with tears and snot streaming down his face. "Junior, look, can I discuss something with you? Zhao Yu is going to give birth in a few months. You can't just watch your grandnephew have nowhere to live, can you?" Then he turned to look at my mother again. "Sister-in-law, could I ask you for another favor? Please take care of Zhao Yu. Since Yuqing is going to college anyway, why not let us stay in the house for now? Sister-in-law, please go in and help us out. Take care of Zhao Yu, so Lin Yan can focus on the college entrance exam." My father was so angry he laughed, pointing at the door and speaking in a low voice. "Lin Wei, get out. Don't ever call me your brother again. I don't have a brother like you." "What? Now you're even eyeing the house, and you want my wife to take care of your daughter-in-law. What's wrong with your head? I will never give you the house, and we certainly won't take care of your daughter-in-law for you. Get out." Lin Wei was so angry that his eyes turned bloodshot, his back heaving with heavy breaths. He picked up the fruit plate on the table and hurled it directly at my dad. My dad wasn't one to be trifled with either. Just as the two were about to start fighting, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, it was the delivery guy with the notification letter. Lin Wei, like a ferocious beast at that moment, rushed over and snatched the letter from the guy's hand. Holding it, he laughed loudly at us. "Lin Jun, if you don't agree, I'll make sure your daughter can't go to college. How dare you?" I quietly took out my phone to record a video. Then I lowered my voice and told my mom it was okay. I was afraid she would be so angry that she would have a heart attack. Lin Wei's eyes were wild as he stared at us, refusing to back down. After saying good 3 times in a row, he tore my admission letter to shreds. "Fine, your daughter will be classmates with my son again. This time, let's see who can do better on the exams." Without a word, I immediately called the police. Lin Wei was taken away. Before he left, I casually remarked, "Uncle, It seems you didn't know that you can still go to college even without an admission letter. You're still too ignorant." Lin Wei's eyes were filled with such hatred that they seemed about to drip blood. My mother's voice trembled slightly. "Yuqing, are you really okay?" I shook my head, indicating that I was fine. "Just bring your ID card and exam admission ticket when you go to register. It's a minor issue." Lin Wei was detained and educated for a few days after he was released. He seemed to have quieted down. The relationship between our two families has completely broken down, but I still feel somewhat uneasy inside, so I suggested we first move into the apartment my grandfather gave me for a while. My parents agreed. In the dead of a silent night, I quietly took some clothes and went to stay there. Within half a month, nothing happened. My mom was still asking when we would go back. I said to wait a little longer. Sure enough, something happened the very next night. A huge fire broke out in the house in the middle of the night. Fortunately, we lived in an old residential area, and our apartment was on the top floor. The other neighbors were not affected. When we arrived, we saw Lin Wei and my aunt kneeling at the door, wailing in grief. "My brother, you died so tragically. Brother, I miss you." My dad walked up and punched him. "You bastard, I'll beat you to death." He was startled, his finger pointing at us, trembling. You're not dead," I sneered. "Uncle, were you really hoping to see us dead?" Lin Wei was taken away by the police. I also gave the video to the police. On the day I moved out, I bought a camera online. It clearly recorded Lin Wei, disguised in the middle of the night, breaking into my home, then sprinkled gasoline and light the lighter. After the fire was extinguished, he followed the crowd to mourn. After being arrested, Lin Wei completely revealed his true colors. He bared his teeth and snarled furiously at my father, wishing they could just come up and tear us apart. Lin Wei also explained why he hated our family so much. In his early years, he started a business and made quite a bit of money. My father, on the other hand, was just a small employee in the company and didn't have much money. My parents' salaries were just enough to cover household expenses. As time went on, his business ran into problems. Then, due to the pandemic, it went bankrupt outright. Later, he invested the remaining money, but whatever he did ended in losses. I had no choice but to give up on starting a business, found a job, and settled for a low salary. In contrast, my father's career was thriving. He had now become a district manager. Our family's living conditions were also getting better and better. Jealousy and resentment gradually took root in Lin Wei's heart, twisting into a sturdy tree, and Lin Yan was the fuse that ignited that tree. After Grandpa made the promise, Lin Wei set his sights on that house. As a result, Lin Yan caused trouble, becoming so obsessed with love that he lost all interest in studying. But this was his treasure, so what could he do? He could only redirect this hatred, doubling it and transferring it onto my family. That's why he deliberately sent me on the highway and called my mother, hoping to trigger her illness. He wants our family to experience his pain as well. After my dad learned the truth, he was depressed for a few days. He never expected his own brother could harm him so deeply. It took my mom a long time to comfort him before he finally recovered. My dad applied to the company to transfer to a branch office. After selling the house, the whole family moved away. It's still best to stay far away from this family. In September, I went to university and started my new life. Mom and Dad also started their new life in the new home. 2 months later, Lin Wei's verdict was announced. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Aunt called and begged us many times, but my dad directly blocked her number. When the relatives at home found out about this, they were unwilling to have any further dealings with Lin Wei's family. The grandparents were so angry that they even wanted to sever ties with Lin Wei. Another 2 months passed. Zhao Yu gave birth to a son. The aunt was so happy that she took her grandson to the grandparents' house to beg for forgiveness, saying this was the Lin family's lineage. The grandparents directly drove her out. The year I graduated from college, I once again heard news about Lin Wei's family. Lin Yan took the college entrance exam for the second year. He didn't even reach the undergraduate cutoff score. After marrying him, Zhao Yu didn't tone down her rebellious, wild girl personality. She often went out to party and indulge in pleasure, leaving the children at home for Lin Yan and his mother to take care of. Lin Yan could no longer bear it and hit Zhao Yu. From then on, he became addicted to violence, frequently beating and kicking Zhao Yu. He claimed he had given up everything for her, yet she still dared to betray him. Zhao Yu proposed a divorce, but Lin Yan refused to agree no matter what. Every time the cooling-off period reaches its final day, she changes her mind. Zhao Yu couldn't bear the torment any longer and ran off with a wealthy old man. She even abandoned her child. After his wife ran away, Lin Yan began to lose his mind. Lin Wei behaved well in prison and was released early. Lin Yan blamed all of this on Lin Wei. He believed it was all Lin Wei's fault. He waited on the road where Lin Wei was released from prison with a knife and killed him. I ended up in a psychiatric hospital. In the end, only Mrs. Lynn and her little grandson were left in the Lynn family. I sighed a few times and walked into the sunlight. Last life, you caused my family to be destroyed and scattered. This life, it's your turn. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Li Jingqiang accidentally fell from the balcony. Outside the emergency room, the doctor said that even if he survived, he would be paralyzed for life. My husband struggled to say a few words to me. I cried and told the doctor. He said he would rather die than live as a cripple. Sign. Pull the tube. 5 minutes later, he was wheeled into the morgue. 20 years. I finally waited for this day. On the way to the funeral home, I received a phone call from Jiang Xiaoding, a student from a poor family whom my husband has been supporting for over a decade. In my phone, her contact name is the other woman. I pursed my lips, suppressing the corners of my mouth that were about to curl up, trying to stay calm as I answered the call. Mom, on the other end of the line. Jiang Xiaoding's voice was sweet and delicate, clearly a graduate student in their second year, yet still acting like a child, being coquettish. I'm not quite used to it, because she has always only turned to Li Jingqiang, and for me, this mom, it's just a symbolic gesture of giving face. What is it? I asked very calmly. She asked me where Dad had gone, why he wasn't replying to messages or answering calls. The new school year is starting, and she needs to pay tuition, living expenses, fees for the European study tour, and all sorts of other costs. I had my phone on speaker. She kept calling him Dad over and over, and even the driver could tell something was off from her tone and strange expression. I listened quietly as she listed over a dozen expenses, totaling around 100,000 yuan. It must be tough for this financially struggling student, truly poor, unable to come up with even 100,000 yuan. I stayed silent, and she grew impatient. Forget it, you're not well educated, so you wouldn't understand even if I explained. When you see Dad, tell him to call me. I replied, he's dead, currently in line at the crematorium waiting to be burned. There was silence on the other end of the line for 2 seconds, followed by a furious roar. Chenwan, are you crazy? Why are you cursing Dad to die? How can you be so vicious? On the other end of the phone, Jiang Xiaoding went crazy and started attacking me personally. No wonder Dad doesn't like you. You're old and ugly, and on top of that, your mouth is so foul. Just you wait, I'm definitely going to tell Dad. I nodded. I know. Li Jingqiang loves this daughter the most, especially in bed. Young, fair-skinned, and beautiful. What man wouldn't like that? She thinks she's kept her dirty little secret with Li Jingqiang well hidden. I've known about it for 3 years now. I scratched my ear, hung up the phone, then turned and unzipped the body bag next to me, snapping a close-up shot of Li Jingqiang's face before sending it to Jiang Xiaoding, along with a message. Come to the funeral home, you might still make it in time to see him cremated. After that, Jiang Xiaoding started bombarding my phone with calls. Without hesitation, I blocked her number. The whole world fell silent. I hummed a tune all the way, hitting green lights at every intersection. The driver glanced at me laughing in the rearview mirror, his expression indescribable. He'd never seen someone so happy after their husband died. Jiang Xiaoding arrived. My mother-in-law came too. Jiang Xiaoding even brought along an outside helper, a younger brother with dyed yellow hair. The yellow-haired guy rolled up his sleeves, hands in his pockets, looking like he was ready for trouble. My husband was in the cremation furnace, burning fiercely. My mother-in-law had just returned from a trip, still pulling her suitcase, wearing a ridiculous Hawaiian-style floral dress. I shook my head. Mom, you really don't understand. Your son has died. Why are you dressed so festively? My mother-in-law went crazy, asking me where Li Jingqiang was. I pointed at the cremation furnace, and she was instantly stunned, unable to believe it. After wailing for a while, she cursed me. You wicked woman, you killed him. Are you trying to murder me or what? My son, why won't you let us see him one last time? Why, of course, it's because I don't want to see him. I glanced at the cremation furnace. It was almost done burning, feeling quite pleased. I actually didn't find her cursing all that grating. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to sue you. I'll take this all the way to the central government. The old lady was almost 80 years old, afraid she might lunge at me and fall, then blame me for it. I quickly jumped behind the staff. Licheng has a large population, and the funeral home business is thriving. There are many family members of the deceased on site, all in tears. Upon hearing this, they all turned to look at her. I innocently explained, he accidentally fell from the balcony himself. There are several eyewitnesses in the neighborhood. There are police reports and medical diagnoses. If you don't believe it, you can go check for yourself. Mom, even though your surname is Lai, you can't blame everything on me. Jiang Xiaoding, with reddened eyes, supported her panting mother-in-law and fired off a rapid series of accusations. Chenwan, you must be feeling guilty, aren't you? I'm telling you. What you did amounts to destroying evidence of a crime. We reserve the right to pursue criminal charges against you. I'm not hurt or bothered. She thinks flipping through a few pages of the civil code makes her a lawyer. How shameless. My mother-in-law and Jiang shouting refused to back down, each sentence louder than the last. The staff couldn't stand it anymore and sternly reprimanded them, asking them to respect the other deceased, give the departed peace, and handle family matters at home. I peeked up from behind the staff member. That's right, this is a family matter. What does it have to do with you, Miss Jiang? Jiang shouting's expression changed. I'm an adopted daughter, so of course it has something to do with me, I retorted. Li Jingqiang and I only adopted one daughter, and that's Xiang. Where did you come from? While they were arguing, Li Jingqiang was cremated, turning to ashes in an instant. At that moment, the announcement blared. Memorial service in Hall 4 is starting. Family of Li Jingqiang, please proceed to Hall 4 upon hearing this announcement, I shouted. Me. First cremate, then hold a memorial. I am the only one in the funeral home who does this. After 20 years of marriage, I still made sure to set aside enough time, spending 10,000 yuan to rent the memorial hall for an afternoon, so that relatives and friends could all come to see him one last time. But when they saw the urn, they were all stunned. Where is the person? I said. You don't understand. He fell from over 20 floors up. His face was completely unrecognizable. It's not something you should see. I was just afraid it would scare you. My mother-in-law cried and shouted, scolding me for not knowing the proper etiquette. I felt utterly innocent. It's my first time losing a husband. I have no experience. In the mourning hall, aside from me, everyone was in deep sorrow, and the one crying the loudest was Jiang shouting. Li Jingqiang has been supporting her for over a decade, from elementary school all the way to graduate school, something everyone in the family group chat knows about. On ordinary days, people often say that among the underprivileged students receiving financial aid in society, those like Jiang shouting, who managed to get into graduate school, are as rare as phoenix feathers and will directly achieve a leap in social class. Li Jingqiang is truly a great person, today. She cried with such genuine emotion that truly shows immense filial piety. Xiang rolled her eyes at those gossipy relatives, not bothering to waste words on them. The mother-in-law and Jiang shouting hugged each other and cried bitterly. With someone dead, how to distribute the property became an issue. The mother-in-law asked about it. I generously took out Li Jingqiang's phone. When my husband was still conscious, he recorded his will. We should follow his wishes. Since all our relatives and friends are here today, let them serve as witnesses. This recording was made during the only time Li Jingqiang woke up in the hospital. Judging by the voice, although he spoke with a slight stutter, his consciousness was clear and his expression was fluent. He clearly expressed that he would leave one house to his mother, and the remaining 2 houses, along with his bank deposits, stocks, funds, cars, and other assets, would all go to Jiang shouting. And as for me and my daughter, he didn't mention a single word. Oh, right, that's not entirely true. I bought the furniture, so I can take it with me. No way, someone blurted out, leaving the family fortune not to the wife and children, but to a sponsored impoverished student. It's simply unbelievable to even talk about. Everyone's reaction was just like that, but I wasn't surprised at all. As for Jiang shouting, she was a mix of surprise and delight, her face unable to conceal her secret joy. Never in a million years did I expect to become a wealthy woman at a funeral home. My family has completely lost it, instantly forming a united front, shouting about unfairness, insisting that his assets should be inherited according to the order of succession. What kind of successor is Jiang shouting? Jiang shouting, with a serious expression, educated everyone on legal knowledge. The law stipulates that testamentary inheritance takes precedence over statutory succession. She spoke with clear reasoning, clearly having studied inheritance laws extensively in the past, and now, it was coming in handy. I wasn't in a hurry. I urged everyone to stay calm, reminding them that today was a memorial service, not a struggle session. It was more important to properly honor the deceased. Next, I had a surprise prepared for my mother-in-law and Jiang shouting. I projected Li Jingqiang's phone photo album onto the big screen. The first one was a selfie of him kissing Jiang shouting. Scrolling down, there were intimate photos of the two, ambiguous photos, and even bed photos. Because they were too explicit, I quickly skipped past them with a tap. Many of the photos were taken from strange angles, clearly captured secretly. Everyone needs to wash their eyes tonight. Jiang shouting was stunned, her lips parted wide in a dazed expression. She never expected that Li Jingqiang had secretly taken intimate photos of the two of them. I retorted, Ting, why are you lying in bed with Dad? Is he giving you a physical checkup? You're so filial. Are you giving him a physical checkup too? Ting, that's Li Jingqiang's nickname for her. Someone vomited. My family members were completely enraged. Well, so you're Li Jingqiang's mistress. No wonder you urged him to take my sister's money. Li Jingqiang has been supporting you for so many years, and you really have no shame, actually climbing into his bed, knowing he's married and still being the other woman, shameless. It can't be hidden anymore. My mother-in-law was the first to step forward, righteous and indignant, shouting even louder than my own family, "It's only right and proper. It's only right and proper. Tingting is carrying the only heir of the Li family. What's wrong with giving her a bit more money? Who told Chinwan she can't have children, causing the Li family to be left without an heir? The Li family's money, of course, should be left to the Li family's precious grandson. It's only right and proper." The phrase "only right and proper" was repeated by my mother-in-law 800 times. Everyone looked at Jiang Xiaoting's slightly bulging belly, thinking she had gained weight, but it turned out she was pregnant. I already knew. Before Li Jingqiang pulled out the tube, what he told me was that Jiang Xiaoting was pregnant, and he asked me to be generous and take care of her, so I took care of her first, see her off. That day, the funeral home was as bustling as a vegetable market, with both sides nearly coming to blows. Even the staff couldn't pull my brothers and nephews from my side of the family away. It wasn't until the police officers arrived that things finally calmed down. "What's all this commotion? What's all this commotion? Please show some respect for the deceased. Police work. I'll definitely cooperate." Holding Li Jingqiang's ashes, I joked, grabbing the ashes. "No more grabbing, no more. My husband's little lover likes them, so I'll fulfill her wish." I shoved the ashes into Jiang Xiaoting's hands, and before she could react, I instantly let go. The ashes scattered all over the floor and all over her. I'm dying of laughter, shouting loudly, "Oh my, Tingting, why didn't you hold your dad properly? Look, your dad is everywhere." Jiang Xiaoting's face turns pale, and she screams as she jumps away. The scumbag falls to the ground and turns to dust. Li Jingqiang, goodbye to you. The next day, a video titled "Impoverished Student Uses Pregnancy to Take All of Benefactor's Assets, Leaving Wife with Nothing and Widowed" went viral. It garnered over 100,000 views, with excessive comments, and was widely reposted across various social media platforms. The content was highly sensational, starting with Li Jingqiang's last words, followed by photos of him and Jiang Xiaoting at upscale venues, domestic and international tourist spots, luxury stores, and with luxury cars and mansions. The highlight was the ambiguous photos of him and Jiang Xiaoting, although their faces and key areas were blurred. This subtle concealment greatly fueled people's voyeuristic desires. I never expected Li Jingqiang to become an internet sensation even after his death. The comments are absolutely explosive. Is it that older men are particularly appealing? How could the sister bring herself to do it when they were doing it? Did the female lead also call him daddy? This video has gone viral. Jiang Xiaoting also has her own social media account, where she portrays herself as a struggling student who has overcome adversity. She consistently shares stories about her difficult life, claiming to have lost both parents and coming from a poor family, yet she has managed to turn her life around and is now pursuing a master's degree in a first-tier city. In her videos, she teaches people how to save money on daily necessities like food, clothing, and housing, and how to find part-time jobs or financial aid opportunities. Even the official university account follows her, making her a symbol of inspiration and upward mobility. However, it didn't take long for people to dig up her personal information and attack her in the comments section of her account. They also directed other netizens to the original video. "Scatter, scatter, this impoverished student can't be supported without 300,000 a year. Turns out, I'm the clown myself. That LV bag of hers could buy me steamed buns for 10 years. The rise of a rural impoverished student. Sisters, take notes. This is what true effortless success looks like. Of course, there are also some trolls with bizarre values. What are you all so jealous about? If you have the ability, go find a rich person yourselves. She didn't steal or rob anyone. She got it through her own skills. What does it have to do with you?" Netizens were practically itching to reach through the internet and give him a piece of their minds because of this incident. Jiang Xiaoting's school account also suffered a wave of online backlash, which had a very negative impact. The school launched an investigation, and Jiang Xiaoting was busy explaining herself. While they were preoccupied, I took the opportunity to sell the house, the car, and the jewelry in the shortest time possible, cashing out 20 million. Then, I also went to a luxury store, bought designer bags and watches, and took a trip to Japan. Finally, I went to the beauty salon for a high-end SPA. These fine grains have finally come my turn to enjoy. The beautician was extracting my blackheads when my phone rang. It was a text message reminder from the court, notifying me that the court summons had arrived at my home and that I should prepare to respond to the lawsuit. My mother-in-law and Jiang Xiaoting sued me for maliciously transferring assets and failing to comply with the execution of the will. A large flat by the river, sold for a bargain price of 8 million. When the buyer came to take over the property, they discovered that my mother-in-law and Jiang Xiaoting were still living there, staring at each other. Both were stunned. They had no idea I had sold the house. Anyone who can afford a riverside apartment worth millions is no fool. The new owner immediately demanded they show the property deed or a rental contract. They had neither. The new owner gave them 3 days to move out, but they refused to leave, without another word. The new owner began dismantling the door and the interior. Even when the police arrived, it was no use. The owner's rights prevailed. This matter caused quite a stir, but I was traveling in Japan. My domestic phone number was useless. I hadn't logged into social media, and I was carefree, so their mess didn't affect me at all. My mother-in-law and Jiang Xiaoting had no choice but to move back to the old house. Then, Jiang Xiaoting immediately went to look at luxury real estate. Booked a 3-bedroom apartment, paid the deposit, but when it came time to pay the remaining balance, she discovered that Li Jingqiang's dozen or so bank cards combined had less than 100,000 yuan. Before the trial, Jiang Xiaoting started a live stream on her own account, standing in front of the courthouse, holding up her statement of claim, and tearfully lamented, "Family, I really didn't cheat anyone out of money or a house. We originally planned to get married after the child was born. These were all things he promised me before." Jiang Xiaoting, with tears streaming down her face like pear blossoms, crafted a pitiful persona, a vulnerable image of a pregnant woman, an elderly person, and someone left homeless after being driven out by the main wife. "I believe the law will give me justice." Then, she lowered her head and gently stroked her belly. "Baby, mommy will be brave this time and protect you with the power of the law." The security guard at the entrance shouted, "This is a judicial institution. No recording, photography, or live streaming is allowed without permission. Miss, please abide by the law." Jiang Xiaoting turned off the live stream. In the courtroom, Jiang Xiaoting scolded me with great conviction. "I have Li Jingqiang's recording. All the deposits and investments under his name are to be inherited by me. As a safeguard for me and the child, on the day Li Jingqiang had the accident, she bought huge insurance policies and withdrew cash, taking away over 3 million. It was this woman who maliciously transferred the assets. I demand the execution of the properties under her name." Jiang Xiaoting was extremely agitated, making a fuss, and even the judge couldn't stand it, banging the gavel several times. "Plaintiff, please note, I did not call on you to speak. This is the time for the lawyers from both sides to debate." Jiang Xiaoting had just settled into her seat, supporting her stomach. The lawyer she hired appeared young and promising, remaining calm under pressure, but his arguments merely repeated the contents of the indictment verbatim, offering no personal perspective whatsoever. Then, it was our lawyer's turn to take the stage. The will was recorded at 2:00 p.m., while my client purchased the insurance at 10:00 a.m. It was after witnessing her husband's unfortunate and severe accident that my client, driven by deep concern, made a forward-looking plan for the family. This constitutes a reasonable family expense and does not amount to asset transfer. Furthermore, my client is aware of her husband's bank card information, transaction passwords, etc., indicating that her husband had explicitly expressed consent and authorized my client to manage and control a portion of the property during his lifetime. Legally, such actions are considered a gift, and the plaintiff has no right to claim a share. My client did not withdraw all the bank deposits, so the claim of transferring assets is completely unfounded. I remained calm and composed, silently giving the lawyer a thumbs up in my mind. I endured for so many years, putting in considerable effort to obtain the old man's transaction password, all for this very day. My mother-in-law and Jiang Xiaoting were both dumbfounded. "Savings are just small change. The house is the real big money," my mother-in-law shouted. The house. He said he would give us the house." She sold it all." The judge once again put on a stern face, banged the gavel several times forcefully, and told her to calm down. The plaintiff is requested to provide evidence, such as property ownership documents or transaction proof. The judge reviewed several pages of evidence but could not find a copy of the property deed or any purchase documentation, and turned to look at the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law spoke loudly. "I've lived in that house for 20 years. What more proof do you need? The neighbors, the property management, they can all vouch for me. The other 2 sets were also bought by my son after marriage, so they are his. The property deeds are not here." She pointed at me, venomously saying, "This woman has been scheming all along, thinking of today long ago. She hid them and sold them." Jiang Xiaoting added, "That should be considered marital property, and half of it belongs to Li Jingqiang. According to the will, I should inherit half of it." She also added that since the house has been sold, she would settle for 15 million from me, even though it's a bit of a stretch. My lawyer's expression was indescribable. He presented the evidence. One house was fully purchased by my client before marriage, and the other two houses were personal gifts from my client's parents after marriage, belonging to the wife's private property and have nothing to do with the husband. Here are my client's home purchase records and the notarized documents for the parents' gifts. Therefore, Mr. Lee's will in this regard is invalid. The plaintiff has no right to divide my client's property. My mother-in-law was stunned first, she shouted, saying that Li Jingqiang had personally told her that he bought the houses, that he had said it himself. I'm just laughing my head off. Li Jingqiang does earn a lot of money, but he spends it all on eating, drinking, having fun, and supporting women. He also loves to boast and save face, so he told my mother-in-law that he bought the house, as if he were so amazing. Back then, I gave him face and didn't expose him, so my mother-in-law has always thought the house was his. The judge asked if I had anything to add. I asked, may I laugh? The judge looked bewildered and nodded. Then I couldn't hold back and burst into laughter right there in the courtroom, Jiang shouting, do you have any legal knowledge? That was my premarital property and a personal gift. It has absolutely nothing to do with Li Jingqiang. Did you think his will could just hand it over to you? Then, if I die, can I also make a will to distribute Elon Musk's money in the U.S. 10 billion to Xiang? 10 billion to my mom, and the rest can be donated to child welfare organizations, right? I put on a funny, serious face and said, please, court, enforce it. Haha. The judge banged the gavel at me and told me to be serious. The verdict came out quickly, and I posted it online right away. Jiang shouting was thoroughly embarrassed and faced another wave of online bullying. What do you call this? Greedy even in death. This attitude has shocked me for 10,000 years. I've never seen a mistress so brazen, going to divide the property of the legal wife. As long as you're not dead, you'll see news every day. Even at 100 years old, the court ruled that the remaining bank deposits, stocks, funds, and cars were to be divided equally between Jiang Shaoting and her mother-in-law. Li Jingqiang once followed others into stock trading, investing only to become someone for retail investors who lose money, and his stocks were all trapped. Out of over 1 million in stocks, only a little over 100,000 remained. The car he drove was bought for 800,000, but after more than a decade, it has depreciated to a value of just tens of thousands. I can't be bothered to maintain that old car either. I did the math. From Li Jingqiang's estate, Jiang Shaoting would have received over 200,000 for an ordinary person. That amount would be enough to last for a while. But she was spoiled by Li Jingqiang and used to spending lavishly. How could such a small sum be enough? She was dissatisfied with the verdict and intended to appeal. She doesn't want to split it with me, she wants it all. But before she could appeal, I dropped a bombshell on her first. Now it's my turn to fight back. I retrieved all the bank statements, WeChat, and Alipay transaction records from Li Jingqiang's phone, along with the expenses from their domestic and international trips. Tracing back to Li Jingqiang transferring marital property to a third party without my consent, not much, just 5 million. On the day I received the court summons, Jiang Shaoting frantically called me, starting with a scolding. How dare you sue me? That was Brother Chang's support for me. I retorted, look at what you're saying. Who would believe it if it got out? Which family supports a needy student by taking them to bed? On the day of the trial, it was my mother-in-law's turn to perform. Jiang Shaoting started another live stream, with the camera pointed at my mother-in-law. She knelt at the courthouse entrance, cursing me for being utterly heartless and trying to drive her and her orphan child to ruin. Even though I'm worth tens of millions, I'm still forcing a pregnant woman to pay up. She has always been shameless. She doesn't care about what others think of her. Her performance was full of tension. A white-haired old woman, crying her eyes out, holding up a sign with my photo and ID number on it, and listing 10 accusations against me in bold red characters, things like not respecting my in-laws, not giving birth to a single child in over a decade of marriage into the Li family, not spending my salary on her, and so on. Passers-by all pointed and whispered. Today, I deliberately dressed plainly, looking disheveled and carrying a burlap sack filled to the brim with documents. Before my mother-in-law could say a word, I interrupted. Everyone, take a look. After more than 10 years of marriage, Li Jingqiang has abused me over 20 times. These are all the police records. My mother-in-law widened her eyes and quickly changed the subject. I followed up. Li Jingqiang earns 500,000 a year, but he has never contributed a single cent to household expenses, our adopted daughter, all the household costs, and socializing with relatives. For over 20 years, everything has been paid for by me. Didn't all his money go to supporting you and his mistress? How come you're out of money now? Jiang Shaoting was furious and turned off the live stream, but my adopted daughter was still helping me record the video. I pressed my face close to the camera and burst into tears. Everyone, please judge for yourselves. What kind of decent person neglects their wife and children, spends all their money on supporting poor students, wears luxury brands, carries designer bags, travels around Europe, and stays in 5-star hotels. The more I spoke, the more worked up I got, pointing a finger at Jiang Xiaoding. Passers-by turned to look. Their expressions varied. Jiang Xiaoding's face turned ashen as she came over to grab me. Like a nimble square dancing auntie, I executed a swift sidestep and dodged her perfectly. I cried louder than anyone, "Don't touch me, I have high blood pressure." Walked the path of the mother-in-law, leaving her with no path to walk. Finally, the security guard at the entrance couldn't take it anymore and picked up a loudspeaker to shout, "This is a judicial institution. Recording, photographing, or live streaming without permission is prohibited. That young lady, that woman, please abide by the law." I immediately fell silent. I am a law-abiding good citizen. Given the previous loss in court, they have changed lawyers this time. What a coincidence. I have also changed lawyers. My lawyer is famously known in the industry as the Mr. Slayer, the homewrecker Terminator, quoted extensively from legal texts in court, speaking with great conviction. This party asserts that since Ms. Zhang's freshman year, she has maintained an improper extramarital relationship with Mr. Li Jingqiang. During this period, the financial support provided by Mr. Li Jingqiang to Ms. Jiang significantly exceeded the reasonable scope required for an ordinary student to maintain normal studies and daily life. These expenses should not be considered as financial aid but rather as funds provided by Mr. Li Jingqiang without the consent of our client. We demand their full repayment. Jiang Xiaoding's lawyer was still arguing. The European trip was an off-campus study tour expense, and the usual transfers were for normal living needs. I retorted. Who funds living expenses with numbers like 1314 and 520? He even added 2 zeros, 3 zeros. The European study tour only had 2 plane tickets, and only 1 room was booked. Stop talking. I feel embarrassed just listening to you. The opposing lawyer had a look on his face as if he had just eaten shit, but he was a lawyer, focused on the case rather than the person. No matter how unreasonable it seemed, he had to find reasons to defend his client. After his defense, even the judge's expression turned grim. The verdict was delivered quickly once again. Apart from some claims for which evidence could not be found, more than half of my demands were upheld. The court ruled that she must return over 1 million yuan. Just thinking about it makes my heart ache for her. Jiang Xiaoding usually indulged in eating, drinking, and having fun, living a life of luxury under the guise of a poor student, with no interest in investment or savings. I wonder if she even has the money. Sure enough, I waited and waited, but her money never came. She's as shameless as a dead pig that doesn't fear scalding water, and even acts arrogantly. Let me tell you, I just don't have the money. So what if you win the lawsuit? You can just hold on to that judgment and grow old alone. How laughable. Does she not know that deadbeats get blacklisted? I'm not afraid to drag this out with her either. The next day, I went to the court to apply for enforcement. And while I was at it, I made copies of the judgments from both court sessions and mailed them to her school office, reporting her conduct issues under my real name. Soon, the school revoked her status as a financially disadvantaged student, expelled her, and kicked her out. Jiang Xiaoding was unable to graduate. The outcome was immensely satisfying, and her account sparked another wave of public opinion, with netizens leaving comments, "Justice will not be delayed." Thank you to the school for correcting these unhealthy trends and preserving the reputation of us students from impoverished backgrounds. Jiang Xiaoding has almost become a street rat, despised by everyone, but even negative attention is still attention, and now she is full of traffic. Jiang Xiaoding quickly seized the sudden fortune. After her account went silent for a month, the public opinion immediately shifted. Her personal bio now reads, "A life that has hit rock bottom, starting over." Isn't that a mess? She was pregnant before marriage, dropped out of graduate school, and was added to the list of dishonest persons subject to enforcement. Oh, right, she also has a mother-in-law who is on her last legs, praying every day for her to give birth to a son. The buffs are fully stacked, but she soon broke out of the predicament. I was lying on the couch watching her latest live stream. By now, she had already moved into a new 3-bedroom apartment with luxurious decor. In front of the camera, her eyes were red. Being with Brother Chang, I really wasn't after his money. I'm grateful that he funded my education. Besides the tuition fees, I've already paid back all the other expenses. Here's my transfer record. This apartment was also bought with money I earned from working part-time while studying. In the future, I'll work hard to earn money and raise my baby with my own abilities. At this moment, the court sent me a text message informing me that they had received over 1 million yuan from Jiang Xiaoding's enforcement action, and asked me to bring my ID card and bank card to register and collect the money. Jiang Xiaoding's account was very active. In front of the camera, she began introducing maternity and baby products, looking confident and proud. I sneered, thinking this was just the beginning. There was still a big storm waiting ahead. Just you wait. I picked up my phone and dialed 911. I immediately said, "Officer, I suspect my husband was murdered." The sirens wailed, and the police officers arrived quickly. I invited the police into my home. Since Li Jingqiang's accident, I haven't come back to live here. On the day of his accident, the police had already come to investigate, and the conclusion was that he had accidentally fallen to his death due to the long-term disrepair of the railing. Because of what happened in this house, I never sold it. Today, I wanted to handle some things at home, and while cleaning up the surveillance footage, I discovered that Jiang Xiaoding had used a key to enter my house multiple times before my husband's accident, often bringing tools to the balcony. I buy accident insurance for my family of 3 every year. It's not expensive, just a few $100 a year. Yesterday, I went to the insurance company to file a claim, and the staff told me that my husband, as the insured, had applied for accident insurance through Jiang Xiaoding, with a coverage of 1.5 million. I wonder if she has any other policies with other insurance companies. Upon hearing this, the police immediately grasped the underlying implication. The substantial insurance coverage, the accident, and Jiang Xiaoding's sudden wealth all pointed to something suspicious. For example, the movie The Vanished Him playing on my living room TV. The police acted quickly, conducting investigations in various places while also summoning Jiang Xiaoding. She answered very naturally, saying she had secretly gone to my house while I was out to get clothes for my husband. As for bringing tools, she had just bought some repair tools on the way and brought them along. After leaving the police station, Jiang Xiaoding stomped her feet and cursed at me. "If you have Alzheimer's, go see a doctor," accusing me without any evidence. "I'll sue you for damaging my reputation." I scratched my ear, blocking out her barking, opened my phone, called a Didi, and left. Sitting in the back seat, I saw Jiang Xiaoding in the side mirror, wearing high heels and looking smug. Then, her video account had new material. In the video, she tearfully accused me of wronging her, crying and wailing before Li Jingqiang's memorial photo, claiming that even after taking the money, I was still pushing her toward a dead end. She took things out of context, not only pocketing a huge compensation sum but also pretending to be poor and playing the victim. As she cried, her face turned somewhat pale, clutching her round belly with a pained expression. With heartfelt emotion, she quickly stirred up another wave of tears online. "Forget it, she's a pregnant woman, quite pitiful. Leave some room today, and we'll meet again in the future. She's pregnant, so why would she kill her husband? It makes no sense at all." Jiang Xiaoding used this video to begin rehabilitating her image and started her journey into live streaming sales, but she was soon proven wrong. First, major insurance companies discovered that Jiang Xiaoding had purchased substantial accident insurance policies for Li Jingqiang with several insurers, totaling millions in coverage. Suspecting insurance fraud through murder, they reported the case to the police, requesting an investigation. 1 week later, during a live stream, as she cooed to her top donor, "Thank you, Big Brother, for sending me a rocket," a group of police officers burst in and promptly restrained her. In full view of the audience, she was presented with a pair of silver handcuffs right in her live stream. Holy crap, did she really commit murder? Don't shut down the live stream, I want to see what happens next. At that moment, I also posted a comment. "I'm the wife of the victim she murdered. If you want to know what happens next, please follow me." There was an unoccupied unit across from the house, and it happened to have a surveillance camera that could capture my balcony. The police contacted the property owner and retrieved the footage. The surveillance footage clearly captured that 2 months before Li Jingqiang's accident, Jiang Xiaoding had used tools to tamper with the railing handrail. A professional inspection of the railing revealed signs of repeated tool damage at critical connection points. On that day, Li Jingqiang was leaning against the railing while making a phone call and, just like that, he fell into the water. With the truth revealed, Jiang Xiaoding is suspected of murder. Jiang Xiaoding refused to admit it. However, this did not prevent the procuratorial organs from prosecuting her, and major insurance institutions filed lawsuits for insurance fraud. The police called me to the police station and asked if I wanted to file additional civil claims. At the police station, I saw my mother-in-law again. My mother-in-law didn't believe it and kept shouting in the police station, "Isn't she just a suspect? Then she's not the murderer at all. It's Chenwan who framed her. She's pregnant, with my son's child. How could she possibly kill A Chang? Officers, you must have made a mistake." When my mother-in-law saw me, she pointed the gun at me. "It's all because of you, you woman. You're the troublemaker. You're the murderer," afraid she might try to frame me. I quickly dodged behind the police officer. "What are you doing? Don't come any closer. If you lay a finger on me, I'll call the police." The female police officer I used as a shield had a dark look on her face. "Officer, you have to protect me." She was very emotional, and the police kept trying to calm her down. As I listened, I learned that my mother-in-law had been camped out at the police station for 2 days, throwing tantrums and demanding they release her son. "I'm telling you, The baby in her belly is the only grandson of the Lee family. If anything happens to it, you'll be guilty of taking a human life." With that, the old woman collapsed again, rolling on the ground like a child, pounding her chest and stamping her feet. "The police are harming people. There's no justice. If you don't let her go, this old woman will die right here." The police have taken turns trying, but none have been able to calm her down. The mother-in-law, relying on her age, dares anyone to lay a hand on her. Her voice echoes throughout the entire police station's case-handling hall, and the officers are nearly rolling their eyes in exasperation. I take off my sunglasses. At a time like this, it still falls to me. "Auntie Lai, do you know why I haven't been able to conceive for over a decade?" My mother-in-law was taken aback. Then her face twisted with rage. "It's all because of you, you barren woman, a hen that can't lay eggs, and you refuse to divorce, ruining my son's chance to have an heir." I raised a finger and shook it. No. I pulled out a few medical reports and said, "After I lost my first child, I never got pregnant again, so I took Li Jingcheng to get checked. Guess what? He has low sperm count. Let me take another one. 10 years ago. Still had weak sperm. Another one. This one is impressive. 5 years ago, completely no sperm. It doesn't make sense that he couldn't do it when he was young, but now that he's older, he can." The doctor said the chance of him conceiving naturally is almost zero. I was afraid of hurting his self-esteem, so I never told him or you, Auntie Lai. If I were you, I'd make sure to find out exactly whose child is in Jiang Xiaoting's belly. My mother-in-law froze. The police officers got a juicy piece of gossip, turning to look at me. Then at my mother-in-law. At that moment, the police brought out Jiang Xiaoting, who was temporarily detained. She also heard it and screamed loudly, "Nonsense! This child is definitely Chang's. You wicked woman! How can you be so vicious? You can't have children yourself, so you curse Chang." I added, "Auntie Lai, this criminal lawsuit will cost tens of thousands in lawyer fees. Have you paid for it?" At this moment, my mother-in-law suddenly became sharp-witted. She would go through fire and water for her son and grandson, but if the child wasn't Li Jingcheng's, even she wouldn't be foolish enough to take on such a burden. She demanded a genetic comparison between herself and the child in Jiang Xiaoting's womb. Jiang Xiaoting readily agreed. I was quite surprised. A week later, the hospital called me, saying my mother-in-law had been admitted due to a stroke and asked me to go pay the fees. I heard that my mother-in-law took one look at the genetic test report, rolled her eyes on the spot, and had a stroke. That report was still among her personal belongings. I took a look. Indeed, the child in Jiang Xiaoting's womb has no blood relation to the mother-in-law whatsoever. Pay money. What money? I have no obligation to support her. She still receives a monthly pension of 5,000, and her son gave her money every month before he died. She should have quite a bit in savings. You even had the nerve to leave my number for the hospital. Do you still think I'm the same Chinwan from before? Li Jingcheng is already dead. Why should I give you any face? After saying that, I swaggered away without leaving a single cent. There are plenty of people who default on payments, and it's not like my mother-in-law is broke. The hospital will surely find a way to get the medical fees. A few days later, my mother-in-law was discharged from the hospital. The hospital called me again, saying she was partially paralyzed and unable to care for herself, and asked me to come pick her up. The phone was held to my mother-in-law's mouth, and the old woman wheezed out a few broken words. I got the gist of it. She was basically expressing regret, looking around and realizing that only I, her resentful daughter-in-law, was reliable enough to take care of her, and she wanted me to go back and look after her. I gave her the number of a nursing home. You used to say you didn't need to rely on me for retirement support, that sons and grandsons were the real pillars, and women were nothing. As you wish, I respect your choice. Her pension can cover the nursing home expenses, so I don't care. After hanging up that call, I dialed my lawyer's number. Add a civil lawsuit against Jiang Xiaoting for me. Jiang Xiaoting, there should still be quite a few designer bags, clothes, and jewelry, all bought with Li Jingcheng's money. I want her to spit it all out. I will leave all subsequent legal procedures to my lawyer. The day before the trial, Jiang Xiaoting went into labor and gave birth. The police took her brother with the dyed hair to the hospital for a paternity test. The child was his, and he was told to take responsibility as the guardian and take the child away. According to an acquaintance at the hospital, it was quite a scene that day. Jiang Xiaoting went crazy, accusing him, "Didn't you use a condom? Why did I still get pregnant?" The blonde guy felt deeply wronged. We've done it so many times without any issues. Who knew that one time would hit the jackpot? With the help of his sponsor, the blonde guy had just graduated from college and was already saddled with a pile of student loans and consumer debt. He didn't want this child at all. In the hospital room, the two of them had a huge, noisy argument. In the end, they were lectured by the police, as adults. You must take responsibility for your actions. You are the child's biological father. If you refuse to take responsibility, you could be charged with abandonment. Finally, the blonde guy took the child away. A month later, the trial began. I didn't forget to update my account information, informing the vast number of netizens about the follow-up developments. The first trial concluded, awaiting the verdict. I contacted a repairman to come fix the balcony railing. Sir, please seal off the balcony. This balcony is too dangerous. The repairman also knew that someone had died here, nodding repeatedly and constantly explaining to me how these old iron railings are the most prone to rusting and breaking. I have lived in this house for 20 years, from the time of my marriage until now. No one knows better than I do how many floor tiles there are in the house, where they are cracked, and where they are broken. I know that the balcony railing has always had issues. Li Jingcheng has a habit of leaning against the balcony railing while smoking and making phone calls. Ever since I discovered 3 years ago that he was having an affair with Jiang Xiaoding, I installed hidden cameras at home. It was only then that I realized Li Jingcheng had brought Jiang Xiaoding home countless times when I wasn't around. Jiang Xiaoding even wore my pajamas, flaunting herself in front of him. The two of them stripped naked in the living room, twisting like a pretzel as they headed to the guest room. I felt so disgusted I wanted to vomit. Whenever Jiang Xiaoding came over, my mother-in-law would go and keep watch. After it was done, my mother-in-law was still grinning from ear to ear. My surveillance camera could record audio, and I clearly heard her say, "Ting Ting, once you graduate, I'll have Chen divorce that barren woman, and you can give me a chubby grandson." My surveillance camera also captured something else. For example, my mother-in-law said to Li Jingcheng, when she got pregnant after marrying into the family, "It was a good thing you made her lose the child, otherwise, with her infertile constitution, you'd only have one child, and she'd have you tied down for life. Ting Ting is so good. You can tell she's fertile. You need to hurry up and have her give birth to a few more. Our family has money, we can afford it. This time, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, just have them first. The country is encouraging childbirth now, so having children makes you a hero, unlike before, blah blah blah." My mother-in-law went on in front of the camera. As I listened, my heart grew colder and colder. I finally understood why Li Jingcheng had hit me when I was pregnant. My mother-in-law consulted a fortune teller who said I was carrying a girl. At that time, Li Jingcheng was a junior manager, and we only had permission for one child. My mother-in-law dreamed of having a grandson, and Li Jingcheng, being a chauvinist, listened to his mother. He found an excuse to lose his temper and beat me until I miscarried. Li Jingcheng blew a ring of cigarette smoke and laughed heartlessly. The surveillance camera recorded for half a year, capturing Jiang Xiaoding entering my balcony with tools. I pretended not to see it. After that, I was away from home more often, and she kept coming and going. I can't see anything, but I bought the unit opposite under the name of a distant relative and installed surveillance cameras there. Every time I go out onto the balcony, I am very careful. I saw it. The railing is already loose. That day, Li Jingcheng laid his cards on the table, saying that he and Jiang Xiaoding were true love, that Jiang Xiaoding was young and healthy and could give him a son, and that he wanted a divorce. If I hadn't known they were having an affair, I would have divorced him long ago, but now I refuse. Li Jingcheng, back when we first got married, if you hadn't hit me and caused me to miscarry, our child would be a college student by now, unless you leave with nothing, and cough up all the money you gave Jiang Xiaoding. Don't even think about me agreeing to a divorce, I yelled. Even if I die, I'll occupy the spouse column on your form. When you're sick in the hospital someday, I'll be the one to sign the papers to pull the plug. Li Jingcheng slapped me again. I had a huge argument with him, then slammed the door and went out to buy groceries. When I was downstairs, I looked up and saw him leaning on the balcony again, smoking a cigarette while talking on the phone. His lips were moving non-stop, and I had no idea who he was badmouthing me to. That day, a typhoon was blowing, and the wind was very strong. Then, he just fell like that. With a thud, he crashed onto the rain shelter below the building, rolled onto the sidewalk, and splattered into a puddle of ketchup. Perfect. The feeling of pulling the plug on a scumbag is absolutely wonderful. While I was having afternoon tea by the Seine, the nursing home called me, saying my mother-in-law now requires first-level care and then I need to pay extra. She had left my contact information again, and I couldn't help but laugh in anger. I have no relationship with her. If you don't have the money, just throw her out. 2 weeks later, my mother-in-law died. Another one bites the dust. The nursing home asked me to handle her funeral arrangements. I immediately hung up the phone. What a downer. The vanished husband has made new progress after a year. Jiang Xiaoding was found guilty of murder for insurance fraud and was sentenced to 35 years of probation. I posted the verdict on my social media account. The ending is so satisfying. Poor kid, with a missing father and a murderous mother. What a disastrous start to life. I heard that the blonde guy abandoned his own child at the doorstep of an orphanage and truly went missing. Community workers contacted the yellow-haired boy's grandparents in his hometown, who were impoverished elderly farmers from a remote mountain village, completely incapable of raising another child. After going around in circles, the child was sent back to the orphanage and became an orphan. Some people were outraged. I don't understand why she was given a suspended sentence for murder. If she gets her sentence reduced again after serving time, she could be out in a few decades. Murderers should pay with their lives. Being locked up for decades, that feeling is probably worse than death. I wonder if Jiang shouting in prison regrets it now. The court froze her designer bags, and even the pots and pans in her house were put up for online auction. The court did a great job. In the end, they executed over 100,000 yuan for me. Her life was over. My life was just beginning. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.